Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really special book called To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It's just a powerful story about seeing the world through a child's eyes, learning about what's right and what's wrong, and, figuring out what real courage is all about.
So, let's start with a big question. What does it really mean to be brave? Is it about being strong and tough? Or is it something else? This book gives us a beautiful and maybe surprising answer. Let's find out what it is together. Okay, so our story begins with a young girl. We get to see everything through her eyes, which is pretty cool. Her name is Scout, and she lives in a small, quiet town called Macomb, Alabama, way back in the 1930s. At the very heart of the story is Scout's family. First, there's Scout, our storyteller. She's smart. She's curious. She asks a lot of questions. Then there's her older brother, Jem, who always looks out for her. And finally, there's their dad, Atticus Finch. Atticus is a lawyer, and he's really the moral compass of this whole story. You know, every town has its secrets, right? Well, in Macomb, there's a mysterious neighbor named Boo Radley. The kids have never, ever seen him. They just hear all these scary stories about him, and they are terrified. To them, he's kind of like a ghost. But is he really the monster they imagine? All right, so now the story starts to get really serious. A time comes when Atticus has to make a very, very difficult choice. And this decision, well, it's going to test not just his family, but the entire town. Now, to understand this choice, we need to know a very important word, prejudice. So what is it? Prejudice is when you judge someone unfairly before you even know them. Maybe because of their race or where they come from, it's an unfair judgment, and it's a huge idea in our story. So this is Atticus's big choice. He decides to defend Tom Robinson, a black man who has been wrongly accused of a crime. Now, you have to remember, this is the 1930s in the American South. For a white lawyer to do this, it was a very big and very dangerous decision. A lot of people in town get really angry with Atticus because of it. So you might be asking, why does Atticus do it? Well, this idea of courage explains everything. For Atticus, courage isn't about holding a gun or winning a fight. No, real courage is when you do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when you know you're probably going to lose. It's about fighting for what's right, no matter what. The story now moves into the courtroom. But it feels like it's not just one man, Tom Robinson, who's on trial. In a way, the whole town of Macomb is on trial. All of its ideas, its prejudices, they're all being put to the test. And right here, we can see the big conflict. On one side, most of the town believes Tom is guilty. Why? Simply because he's a black man. That's their prejudice talking. But on the other side, you have Atticus, fighting for justice. He believes every single person deserves a fair trial, no matter the color of their skin. And he works so hard to prove Tom is innocent. But after everything Atticus does, the jury says Tom Robinson is guilty. It's a really sad moment. For Scout and Jem, it's a very difficult lesson. They learn that the world isn't always fair, and that sometimes the good guys don't win. It's a painful but important part of growing up. But the story isn't over. Not yet. Remember that mysterious neighbor, Boo Radley? Well, while Scout is learning about the town's prejudice in that courtroom, she's also about to learn a very personal lesson about her own prejudice and what it really means to understand another person. So Scout's idea of Boo Radley completely changes. At first, she's so scared of him. In her imagination, he's a monster. But then one night, when an angry man attacks Scout and Jem, Boo Radley comes out and saves their lives. And when Scout finally meets him, face to face, she sees he isn't a monster at all. He's just a quiet, very kind man. And in that moment, she finally understands what her father was trying to teach her all along. You never really know a person until you see things from their point of view. So, what does this beautiful story teach us? To Kill a Mockingbird is so much more than just a story. It's just full of these deep, important lessons about life that are still so important for us today. So let's break it down. We learn about real courage from Atticus, we learn about understanding from Scout's journey with Boo Radley, and from Tom Robinson's trial, we learn a hard lesson about justice, that life isn't always fair, but we still have to stand up and fight for what's right. These are the kinds of lessons that can help us all become better people. We'll leave you with a final thought, and it comes right from the heart of this amazing book. Atticus taught Scout that to really understand someone, you have to try to walk around in their shoes for a while. So the question for all of us is this: who in your life can you try to understand a little better today? Thank you so much for joining me.